For over 2 millennia, soldiers and healers relied on a specific, fuzzy-leafed weed to survive. If you took a sword strike on a battlefield or fractured a leg, this plant was the immediate go-to remedy to physically mend torn flesh and broken bone. It was so effective that European folk traditions gave it names describing exactly what it did: knit bone and bone set. You crushed the leaves, wrapped it around the injury, watched the swelling drop, and the tissue fuse. When European colonists brought it to North America, indigenous healers observed its effects and quickly integrated it into their own pharmacopoeia. Nations like the Lakota recognized its potency and adopted it as a sacred medicine for treating severe trauma. Long before clinical trials or chemical analysis, medical science was based entirely on observing results. And for thousands of years, across multiple continents, the results were clear. Knit bone worked. By the 1970s, the Back to the Land movement rediscovered Comfrey, but they expanded its use. Instead of just applying it to the skin as a poultice, people started harvesting the leaves to brew daily health teas and internal tonics. It rapidly became a massive staple of the alternative herbal medicine market. You could walk into almost any health food store and find Comfrey packaged as an ingestible cure-all for stomach ulcers and common coughs. Then, in the 1980s, toxicologists sounded the alarm. The data was so severe that international regulators stepped in, issuing aggressive bans on consuming any part of the Comfrey plant. How does a biological tool trusted as a medical necessity for 2,000 years suddenly get classified as a dangerous toxin by modern regulators? This diagram shows exactly what's happening at the cellular level. Comfrey leaves are packed with a compound called allantoin. When applied to the human body, allantoin actively stimulates cell division, speeding up the rate at which connective tissue grows and repairs itself. The ancient healers were completely right. Allantoin is the exact mechanism that allowed historical Comfrey poultices to rapidly seal external cuts and mend sprains. But those exact same leaves contain a second hidden compound, pyrrolizidine alkaloids, or PAs. These are defensive chemicals produced by the plant to deter grazing animals. If you drink Comfrey as a tea or take it as a pill, those PAs enter your digestive system. Over time, they quietly accumulate and cause severe, irreversible blockages in the veins of your liver. Ancient cultures missed this entirely because the liver damage from PAs is a slow, cumulative burn. It happens deep inside the body, perfectly camouflaged by the immediate, highly visible skin healing provided by the allantoin. Operating this biological machine correctly means respecting the sharp divide between its healing power and its internal chemistry. If drinking it is toxic, how do modern agriculturalists safely harness this indestructible plant? We have to look underground. Comfrey possesses a massive, turnip-like taproot that can drill up to 10 feet deep, driving straight through compact clay and heartpan soils that block most other plants. Looking at this root system, we see how Comfrey acts as a dynamic accumulator. This means the plant functions like a deep earth mining drill, reaching far into the subsoil to recover valuable minerals, specifically calcium and potassium, that have washed out of the topsoil over millennia. It continuously pumps these recovered minerals up the stem, storing them in its massive leaves. Farmers can then chop those leaves down and drop them directly onto the soil surface, creating a free, self-renewing replacement for synthetic fertilizers. Viewed through the lens of agriculture, Comfrey functions as a high-performance engine for soil regeneration. Today, modern clinical science has finally found a safe middle ground for using Comfrey as a human medicine again. Pyrrolizidine alkaloid molecules are large, preventing them from easily crossing the barrier of unbroken skin. Because of this, medical boards in countries like Germany now legally approve heavily regulated Comfrey root creams to treat sprains and arthritis. By keeping it on the surface, we safely bypass the liver and harness the tissue-repairing power of the allantoin. Meanwhile, out on the farm, growers use specific sterile variants known as Russian Comfrey. These plants produce no viable seeds, allowing farmers to build their soil and feed their livestock without invading the local ecosystem. Comfrey directly challenges the modern consumer assumption that if something is natural, it must automatically be harmless. True herbal wisdom requires respecting nature's strict boundaries, yielding a powerful ally that heals the earth and our bodies, provided we follow its specific biological rules.